fuego de Valparaíso fue un fuego que afectó muchas comunidades. Cientos de personas perdieron sus hogares y muchos seres queridos. La comunidad todavía está afectada. Siendo una comunidad de escasos recursos, ha sido muy difícil la reconstrucción aún un año después del fuego.
Nosotros vamos a salir adelante, pero eso no se lo doy a nadie, porque es algo muy feo.
Todo el sacrificio que hice con mi señora, con mi hija, de la casa que teníamos, lo hicimos los tres. Esfuerzo, sudor, alegría. Todo se me fue. Perdí todo.
Este fuego devastó a muchos niños, no solamente económicamente, sino que también de una forma emocional. Hay personas que han podido reconstruir todo su hogar, pero nos han comentado que espiritualmente siguen con el luto de haber perdido sus casas y haber perdido seres queridos. Además del fuego de toda la comunidad, la iglesia local también lo perdió todo. Y es increíble que esta iglesia local, un día después de perderlo todo, estaba preguntándose cómo podemos llevar luz a estos niños y llevar esperanza a través del evento evangelístico de Operation Christmas Child. Los niños no sabían qué esperar en el evento evangelístico. Simplemente llegaron con esa carga emocional y cuando reciben sus cajitas, la emoción que emana de ellos es un llanto de alegría para muchos. Después de haber perdido todos sus juguetes, tener algunos juguetes nuevos. Después de haber perdido toda su ropa, tener algo nuevo. Eso es lo que hace Jesús. Muchas veces, después de perder todo, Él comienza a hacer nuevas todas las cosas.
Gente que no jamás ha tenido relación con Cristo sentía una paz, sentía un gozo y vemos resultados a las vidas de estos pequeñitos que tanto lo necesitan.
Fui feliz cuando me regalaron una cajita. En esa cajita venía una libretita, venían lápices y fue mi primer regalo que me dieron en el momento que más necesitaba.
Fernanda, a la edad de 12 años, recibe una cajita de regalo después de perderlo todo. Ella recibe un mensaje de esperanza en una familia que nunca había ido a la iglesia, una familia que nunca había escuchado el Evangelio. Ahora es una familia que está queriendo servir, que está queriendo conocer más de Jesús. Aquí vemos el poder transformativo de Jesús comenzando una buena obra con el poder de un simple regalo.
This was a bad week for that one. I'm tired from this weekend, and then to watch that and that little girl, it just breaks my heart. I think the things that resonated in that one for me, first, they lost everything in a fire. We lost everything in a flood, and the generosity of people was probably the biggest thing that just touched us, and how, yeah, kind people are. It was just like the best came out in people, and so I think hopefully that's what we're doing in the shoeboxes, where they have nothing. We can give them something that can touch their lives and that they can need. The other thing that was said that I think touches me, it says, He can make all things new. And so they lost everything in a fire, their village, everything is gone, but yet God can come in and give them new things, hope, all of that stuff. So next week is shoeboxes that we'll be packing during the service. There's a sign-up sheet. We'll do a meal together afterwards. Feel free to invite your friends. It's just a really super cool time. So obviously I get excited about that. It's a busy week here as well. Beforehand, we have Tuesday evening is prayers, open door at 7 o'clock here at the bridge. So if you want to come and join us for that, that's at 7 o'clock. The men's and women's group will be this week as well at 6 o'clock. So women will meet here at 6 o'clock. And then we'll meet at Jim and Sylvia's house Tuesday at 6 o'clock. So if you need to get connected with any of those things, let us know. We'll get you connected with the right people. So 6 o'clock for men and women's group, and then 7 o'clock both on Tuesdays. And then the grief group happens here at 6 o'clock on Thursdays, if you're interested in coming to that. And then the next youth group during the service will be the 30th of November. So put that on your calendars if you know any youth that need to get connected. We'd love to have them here for that. If you have any questions on anything shoeboxes for next week, let me know. Please stand. Let's worship.
You hold my every moment. You hold my raging sea. You walk with me through fire and heal all my disease. I trust in you. Lord, I trust in you. I believe you're my healer. I believe you are all I need. I believe you're my portion. I believe you're more than enough for me. Jesus, you're all I need. You hold my every moment. You calm my raging sea. You walk with me through fire and heal all my disease. I trust in you. Lord, I Jesus, you're all I need. More than enough for me. Jesus, you're all I need. You're my letting go of every single dream. I lay each one down at your feet. Every moment of my wandering never changes what you see. I've tried to win this war, I confess. My hands are weary, I need your rest. Mighty warrior, king of the fight. No matter what I face, you're by my side. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers, as I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. Truth is, you know what tomorrow brings. There's not a day ahead you have not seen. So in all things, be my life and bread. I want what you want, Lord, and nothing less. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers, as I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. You are my strength and comfort. You are my steady hand. You are my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand. Your ways are always higher. Your plans are always good. There's not a place where I'll go you've not already stood. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers, as I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. I will trust in you. I will trust in you.
Pray. Dear God, amen. All right, you can have a seat. You see, we're missing a bunch of people today. When we leave that space for silent prayer,
there's a lot of time that we just bring whatever we have to the table, to the feet of Jesus, and we pray in every way we need to in our circles and things like that. Part of being the church is walking together, living together. Some people are traveling mercies to them. Some people are with other families. Some people are not and need our prayers desperately and our hands and all of those things. So reach out, walk alongside of. If you happen to be in a situation like that, please reach out as well. This has been given as a gift to us, and sometimes we just use a tiny little bit of it, and when everything is open to us. So yeah, engage, lean in, all that stuff. Now, Angel brought up, next week is Christmas Child. There's a meal at the end of it, and there's a sign-up sheet out there. Bring your friends, bring food, just come and hang out. It's one of our favorite times of the year. I want to thank Angel for leading us through that, but I also want to thank everybody else who's given so much of themselves, everything that I can think of, like their hands, their resources, their prayers, all of that. She brought up an interesting thing about our flood, and I was just thinking about a little bit of that. And so this morning, I had breakfast with one of my best friends in the whole world, and I met him after our flood. We were living in an apartment, and I had never seen him before. I didn't know him, and they showed up at my door, and they had a check for us from their church. And that's how our friendship started and how our relationship started. And I remember I went back to work after we had the thing, and we had lost everything, and a guy came in with 2 huge duffel bags full of like some toys for the kids and some shoes and winter coats and stuff like that. And when I look at Christmas Child, and when I sit and really think about it, those people in those times were absolutely the hands and feet and heart of Jesus, reaching out to us in a space where we didn't really have anything except each other, you know what I mean? And when she makes that connection, that's all I can think about today. And what a cool opportunity it is to be the hands and feet of Jesus to other people who are in the same situation. Not exactly, it's not a one-to-one, but it is the opportunity for us to do Jesus' work and reach out in a real tangible way. It's pretty cool. So get here and be with us and eat with us and have a time. So Tuesday was a fun time. If you happen to miss Tuesday, it is on YouTube, and the message is called Tulips. It's an interesting topic, and it's actually pretty vital in the light of faith. And if you listened, it wasn't actually, I said it was about Calvinism and Arminianism and all that stuff, and it wasn't exactly about that. It was more about interpretation, and it was about testing the enormous amount of stimulation we get, and this huge avalanche of information that comes on us, and how we sift and sort all that, and how we hold it up to the Bible, and how, because there are a lot of people that are talking, and they're talking about spiritual things that don't come from the Bible. So, or they're not the gospel, and all of those things. And when Paul talks about false teaching, it's really, how do we know what false teaching is? So essentially that's what Tuesday was. And it's a really, really important thing that we do in the life of a Jesus follower. So if you missed it, it's there. It's also in the Ecclesiastes series. So that's where we are. So today, we're going to continue after. It's actually going to take a step back before those verses, because I had to cut some last week because I get to talking. I don't know if you could tell, but I get to talking. So we've been talking before that about the dangers, and the dangers of wealth, the dangers of the love of money, and the import of wisdom, the importance of wisdom in our lives and things like that. And how that meaninglessness and the dangers, all of that leads to this sense of meaninglessness that the teacher's talking about. However, in Ecclesiastes 6:8, for what more has the wise man than the fool? What does the poor man have? Who knows how to walk before the living? And when we read that verse, you say, well, sometimes money does make things easier. right? Money does put food on the table. It decreases stress about next month's rent, right? There's that saying that says it's really hard for people to hear the gospel when they're hungry. So if you can address those things as well, has anybody ever heard of the band Everclear? They're actually one of my favorite bands, and I think they're criminally underrated. Oh, right. Great. So anyway, there's a line in one of their great songs that says, "Those who say money is the root of all that kills, they've never been poor." And when we start dealing with these kinds of things, talking about the dangers of wealth and money, then the teacher starts talking about, hey, let's just ease up a little bit. Wisdom itself can't fill a hungry man's stomach, a hungry person's stomach, right? And for all the superiority of the wise man compared to the fool, they both get hungry, right? Clark says, the necessaries of life are the same to both, and their condition in life is nearly similar, liable to the same diseases, dissolution, and death. So Solomon is now moving and saying, maybe being wise isn't quite as much of an advantage as we thought. And then when you start looking at these kinds of things and unpacking them, there is that familiar, we're still dealing with pride, with arrogance, with the gospel of me thinking. Like when somebody says, I am so wise, right? I'm so wise. They're saying, I'm so much more educated, I'm smarter, I'm better than them. And then the other half of that verse is talking about the poor and I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's about the poor. And then there's that other thing that can say we can look down on the very wealthy, right? And you're assuming a corruption or a lack of character. I know that there was a lot of that, especially when I was growing up, because we were raging against the machine and everything that was whatever, right? And then you start to think, I am much more principled and upright than them, which is just another form of pride and arrogance, right? And here, just did you notice in a couple of those, we've heard the word them again, right? Be really, really careful, right? There's no us and them in Christ. It's just us. It's just us. Anytime you catch yourself using the word them, just check to see where that comes from, right? It's not always bad. It's not always bad at all, just like anything else. It's not always bad. You can't just make that blanket generalization. It just needs to be watched and examined. Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living, and I'm not sure what I think about that last couple of words, not worth living. However, I think what he's really talking about is if we sleepwalk through our lives, if we live lives without intention, without evaluation, without any kind of critical thinking, if we're just having our eyes closed, taking steps, getting up in the morning, going to work, coming home, going to bed, getting up in the morning, going to work, just getting through the day, I think that leads to an aimless life without purpose and without meaning. And that's a really, really big problem. And there's no space for that in Christ. There's meaning. There's meaning in Christ. So we have to continue to take our thoughts captive, is what Romans says. And then when we catch ourselves going, then, I'm smarter than them, I'm wiser than them, you go, oop, where's that come from? And then you look at it, okay? So these are kind of the important things that we're looking at as we read the scriptures, right? What's happening here is Solomon, as the teacher, is systematically taking down every argument, okay? It's not money, but it's not money. You know what I mean? It's not wisdom, but it's not wisdom. Right? Isn't that an interesting thing? In an under-the-sun world, anything we put at one number one at the very, very top, thinking it will fill, won't. Period. Period. There's problems with everyone, and of course there are. Of course there are, and it's not their fault at all. It's not money's fault. It's not wisdom's fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's not their fault, those things that they can't fill us. They were never, ever meant to. They were never supposed to be number one. They were never supposed to fill us. I said it last week. I can't be everything to Angel, and that's not a knock on me. I was never supposed to be. Right? So, moving on. 6:9. Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of desire. This also is vanity and grasping for the wind. And I don't like that translation at all. Here's another translation. Let's try this one and see if this one makes more sense. Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. Doesn't that make nice sense? Right? Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless. It's like chasing the wind. The book is now about to change. What we just heard was the very last time we hear the phrase chasing the wind. Right? Grasping, striving, chasing the wind, that's in the past. We've studied that as much as we're going to. We won't hear that again in Ecclesiastes. But probably what you're coming across right now, what you're feeling is, this is a really depressing book. Right? It's a really... I thought success was supposed to be blank. And the best way that we can describe this is from the most spiritual movie of all time. And in Fight Club, the character says, my father never went to college, so it was really important I go to college. After college, I called him long distance and said, now what? My dad didn't know. Get a job. When I got a job and turned 25, long distance, I called and I said, now what? My dad didn't know, so he said, get married. We keep thinking of what success is. We keep thinking that the next thing is supposed to fill us. We keep thinking that if we keep checking these boxes, at some point, we're going to be so full, we're going to be so happy. We've gotten there. I got an email this week, a mass email. I get very, very few of them because I usually put them into spam and forget about them. But a guy wrote one this week, and he said he spent 10 years of his life writing and trying to make it as an online guy, and he wrote this amazing book. That it's really a terrific book. I'm not going to tell you the title because it's not fit for church. But anyway, he writes this book, and it becomes this huge, huge bestseller. And all of his problems, and he said, when you have a dream, one of the worst things that can happen to you is you achieve that dream because you realize that that's not what you were looking for in the first place, right? Like you were looking for meaning and purpose and significance. But in an under-the-sun world, he just published a book and people bought it and read it. Okay? And he goes, now what? It's the Fight Club situation. Now what am I supposed to do? It's really an interesting thing that we have. And I really think it's surprising that we hear these stories over and over and over. We all nod. We all nod because you hear it all the time. Somebody works their whole life to get that brand new car, that dream car that they had. And then they get the car and they're like, now what? It's still me driving it. Or you wait and get the huge house, or you get that job or whatever, and you just sit there and go, now what? What am I supposed to do now? And then the car sits. Or it's just a car, as it turns out. Isn't that something? Your car's supposed to be great. It gets you everywhere you need to go, right? Awesome. It's not supposed to be meaning. There's never supposed to be meaning. There's always something else. There's always, always more. If I become the wealthiest, if I have the most chariots, the most concubines, if I have the biggest house, if I have the next newest model, if I have that kind of sneaker, that dish soap, whatever, then I am supposed to be finally complete. But I'm not. And then what? That's Ecclesiastes in a nutshell. So then, at that point, the change that he just gave us in those things is, Okay, so I won't have those things. I won't have those things. I'll educate myself. I'll get all the letters after my name. I'll become wise. And in fact, wiser than anybody else that's ever lived. And then what? Finally, I will have made it. But that's also empty and meaningless. What now? What now? This is where Ecclesiastes has been leading. What's the answer? What is the answer? And it's kind of like if you're listening to him give this lecture, we're all in a place like this hearing the teacher go on, and you're finally like, all right, man, you're killing us. What is the answer? And what he's doing is by eliminating all of the things under the sun that distract, that are shiny, that catch our eyes, that catch our heart. They are exposed. He's exposing them as the lies that leave us wanting. He's pointing us through this absurdity, through this character. He's pointing us in only one direction, just one. And that is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's where he's pointing us. Okay? So, let's talk about a few things here. When I say it's that whole under the sun thinking. Now, I used that very phrase in conversation in the past week, and the person that I was talking to said, what does that mean? And I said, well, you should come to the bridge, because I've been talking about it for 8 months. But the thing is, they do come to the bridge. So there's this thing which we're trying to hold, and we're trying to get it all together, and sometimes we need to remember what we're talking about. It wasn't their fault that they didn't remember. They knew every word in Ecclesiastes. It's just sometimes we can get so close. I just took a puzzle apart today. And I did this really, really cool puzzle. It's a Spider-Man puzzle. You're surprised, right? So I did this puzzle, and putting it together was hard because each piece was really hard. Like it looked like an abstract. It looked like a Picasso where noses are on the side and everything's all mixed together and all that stuff. But then you put it together and it's crisp and wonderful and beautiful. It's one of the coolest puzzles I have. But when you look at just one piece, then you're like, what is this? And it turns out it's this guy's face. It's this guy's eyeball, and I didn't see it at all. Right? So that's what can happen here. That person wasn't wrong. They were totally right. It's just a matter of we're looking at pieces every week, and sometimes we forget to take the step back and look at the thing. Look at this beautiful piece, this beautiful picture that Solomon is writing. The teacher is actually writing. So the main idea so far has been under the sun thinking. Now, I think I'm very clever. So what I'm about to do is there's an under the sun with a U, and there's an under the sun with an O. Okay? So I'm going to contrast those. And I think I'm very clever with that. Under the sun, Jesus Christ. Okay. So, what exactly is under the sun with a U? Okay? It is a life and a world without God. It is a life without the kingdom of heaven, without Jesus, without infinity, without eternity. That's what it is. That's kind of it. And what happens is it leads to a real small, short-sighted, myopic perspective. It's like if you have these blinders on, right? You're like this and this far, right? Rhinos can run real fast, and they can't see, right? They can run 35 miles an hour, and they can see 30 feet in front of them. So, not surprisingly, a group of rhinos is called a crash, because they run real fast, and they can't see what they're crashing into, and they crash into it. This is under the sun thinking. We go real fast, everything's really blurry, we can't see what's happening, and then there it is, and all we can see is this space right here, right? That's under the sun thinking. Everything here and now takes on a bigger significance. Now I'm going to give a really, really easy political example. George Bush was in office for 8 years. Barack Obama was in office for 8 years. Joe Biden was in office for 4 years, and Donald Trump will be in office for 8 years. Okay? In the scope of talk radio and compressed cultural cycle and generations that just get smooshed in, right? Because you see that's what's happening, right? The things that used to take 100 years or 50 years now take 10 minutes, right? They just move. Everything's moving so fast. So, in that context, these things, these 8 years, these 4 years, whoever you like, they're huge. They're just monumental. How often do you hear on the news, quote, they are the best or worst blank ever? Right? That's all you hear. I'm reading a book right now, and it's a cultural guy talking about it, but it was written in the early 2000s. And it was from the perspective of, he's just talking about music, but it was from the perspective of a guy who didn't like George Bush. Okay? And he was talking about how this was the worst thing that's ever happened ever. George Bush. And I thought, that's a really interesting time capsule, because every generation forever probably thinks the exact same thing. Boy, it was better when we were young. Boy, this is either whatever. This is the worst it's ever been. This is the best it's ever been. Whatever, okay? This happens, right? They keep us up nights. All of these things keep us up nights. We get ulcers. We're wild, wide-eyed fear. But in the scope of human history, 4 years is a snap, man. It's thousands of years that people have been walking the earth, and we are getting worked up over a weekend, right? Now, it's a big deal to us, and it's meaningful, but there's a perspective involved. And in the scope of eternity, it's a blink, man. It's not even a blink, right? You see how the difference in perspective happens. Did you ever think, how do people keep their sanity, their hope, and their faith in the darkest of places? I am about to marry a guy who's marrying a woman from the Ukraine, okay? And she had to leave the Ukraine because there's a war happening there. And she is full of positivity. She wishes she could go back tomorrow, right? So how do you keep your hope in a place where there's bombs falling on you? How do you do this? How do you keep your hope? And you've all read those amazing writings from the Holocaust. Like, there's some people that are so full of hope and positivity in the middle of this, and you think, gosh, and I'm really, really upset because my Cowboys are so bad. I can't take it, right? So how do they do this? How do they do this? The Holocaust, the war, the oppression, extreme hunger, poverty, abuse, like this unbelievable abuse that breaks my spirit to hear it, right? How do these people keep going? And how do we find the most inspiring things written in the times of such intense suffering? How's that possible, right? And at the same time, how does that same suffering break others? Right? Why? How? What's the difference? Right? And the difference is under the sun thinking. Under the sun thinking. Right? In a world without God, there's only now. There's only here, and there's only this. Right? The common theme of that positive, inspirational literature is that, yes, this is happening now. But it won't always be. Right? It won't always be. I used to have really, really dark lows. I have a thing where I'm up and down and all that stuff. And I used to have really deep, dark lows. And the main thing that's different between now and when I was 13 is when I was 13 and I was thinking about the end, that kind of thing, The difference was I thought that it was dark forever. That it was going to be dark forever. It's dark today. It's dark for the last 6 months. It's never going to be different. And you can hear that in my talk, because 2 weeks ago I was telling you that I was going to have a cough for the rest of my life. I decided to keep that cough because I had it for a month, and a month is the rest of my life, apparently. And now it's gone. Isn't that interesting? But at the time, so you could see that without anything else, it's just dark now, and that means it's going to be dark forever. Then I fell in love with Jesus, and I could finally start to see and unwrap that, hey, it's dark now. Yep, really dark, pitch dark. But it's not always going to be. It's not always going to be. That's the big difference. It's happening now, but it won't always be. There's something else, and there's something more going on. There's a bigger story than the one that I see, that I feel, that I experience. There's a bigger story going on than that one. Than the one that's happening in Cleona, or the one that's happening in the Ukraine, or the one that's happening in this really ugly space. Right? Paul in Philippians writes, to live is Christ, to die is gain. And he's writing all of these things about going to be with Jesus and how I've learned to be content in every situation. And he's writing all of those from prison. I wouldn't be writing those things from prison. My prison writings would be about how the Roman Empire is the worst. The worst. And they have me locked up for nothing. That would be my prison literature. But Paul's like, this is great. I'm content here. I get to talk to these people about Jesus, and if I die, that's even better. What? That doesn't make any sense in an under-the-sun world. So how does this happen? How did these people figure it out? It's through a new and transformed perspective. And that perspective happens through faith. Now, probably what you're thinking is, well, what's faith? And the writer of the Hebrews defines it as it's the assurance of things hoped for and not yet seen. Okay? It's the things hoped for and not seen. And then David Guzik writes, it means that faith is not blind hope, but a deep trust and confidence in God's promises. Now, there's 3 words in there. I'm going to read that again. And I want you to pick the 3 words out. I'm going to keep it the same. So you're going to have to really listen carefully. I'm not going to give it away. The 3 words that don't belong and don't fit in an under-the-sun theology, in an under-the-sun world, means that faith is not blind hope, but a deep trust and confidence in God's promises. Did you get the 3? I just kept it a secret a little bit. I hope you were listening. Even when those things are not yet visible or realized, it's the foundation for future hope, acting as both the certainty of what's hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. God's promises are about a bigger story than, what's today? November 9th. Is it the 9th? It's the 9th. November 9th, 2025. Now, in God's eyes, November 9th, 2025 is meaningful. But it's not the story. The story goes back as far as infinity and forward as far as infinity. What God has been there before the beginning, after the end, all of that stuff. This is just today. Right? God's promises, trust, future hopes, they don't exist under the sun. There's no interest in what's not visible or realized. Under the sun is characterized by worry, fear, and circumstance. Have you ever heard of someone who you thought is prisoner of the moment? If you haven't heard of that, you have a terrific example right here. Right here. I say things like always and never all the time. Right? I'm trying to work that stuff out all the time. Isn't that funny? But I'm trying to work that stuff out because there's always, never. Those are words of an under the sun. Right? Prisoner of the moment is under the sun. Because it thinks that the moment is it. right? Now, it's this crazy paradox because God is saying, be mindful, be present in the moment, but there's more. There's more than that too. It's marked by selfishness, it's marked by mine, it's marked by more, and then on the other side, it's a lack of commitment, it's a lack of empathy, it's a lack of big thinking, right? So, under the sun with an O is characterized by hope, faith, love, peace, patience, forgiveness, delayed gratification. It is marked by not only what's best for me, but best for all, best for you, best for all. It's about the future. It's about without boundaries. It's about positive. It's about inclusive arms that reach around everyone, everywhere, every when. That's the under the sun thinking, right? And here are some ways that it works itself out. Grace. Has anybody ever heard the word grace? Right? Grace has a lack of judgment. It's affirming humanity because of Genesis 1 and 2. Grace happens because we are all made in the image of God. Right? Right? We are all made in God's image. We are endlessly loved by our Creator. And Jesus Christ's death is for all people. There's no us in them for us because there's no us in them for Him. When He made everybody, it was everyone is made. Let us make man in our own image. And this changes the way that we feel about, that we value, and that we see every other person, every other thing, the planet, the world, everything is all made by Him, in Him, for Him. It's all valuable. So how are we going to devalue something that He loves so much He would die for, leave perfect community and die for, and we're going to treat those people like they're less, like they're subhuman? Really? Outside of the gym yesterday, I heard this guy speaking the most angry, dismissive, devaluing words about groups of people he saw as so different from himself. Right? He was talking about the thems in words that were dripping with venom. It was hurting. It was hurting. Right? And the guy, he's just so sad and scared and insecure and inadequate. And that makes him so mean. Right? And once you can see through that, see, that's the other part, because you can just see him as mean. You can see them as mean. No! There's a them again. It's all made that guy too is made in God's image. He's just afraid. He's just under the sun with a U. Right? But everyone has worth to us because we all have worth to Him. Under the sun, it is a bigger story. It is not about us, which paradoxically means what we do matters. Isn't that crazy? Right? If it's just us, what we do doesn't really matter. But if it's His story, it makes what we do matter that much more. Everything matters and has consequences because everything matters to Him. Right? So I go into the sheets the other day, and I check myself out, because I always check myself out anymore. Right? Everywhere I go, and then I can't, because I don't like any of that. Well, anyway, so I go through, and I scan both my things, and I get out to the car, and I'm folding my receipt, because I fold it perfectly. I'm weird like that, so I'm folding it, and I realize that it didn't read the one thing that I got. So I'm in my car, I got some nuts. Those toffee cashews from Sheets are just outstanding. Anyway, so it didn't register. So I had it for free, and I left. But everything matters, so I went back in. The people at Sheets didn't know. They didn't know that I came right back in and I didn't get anything, and I just brought the thing back in and I paid for it. They don't care. It's lost. It's worked into. That's part of why the prices are so high. Right? It's all worked in. They don't care. That person behind the desk doesn't care. But I did. I shouldn't say that. Maybe they do. Maybe they do, but they didn't see it, right? But it matters. It matters to me because everything matters to God. Everything matters to Jesus. And living with character and integrity is something that I value because every word of the Bible shows me that God values that. So I'm not running off with these things. It's crazy. It's crazy. So the last thing we're going to talk about today, and this is only true under the sun with an O. Gratitude. Gratitude. And you heard the second half of that verse was enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. If there's a God, who are you grateful to? And for what? Is anything a gift? Under the sun, we earn what we get, right? Or not. It's all based on us, what we do, what we produce, what we think we deserve, or whatever. But under the sun, with an O, all's a gift. Every breath, every moment, every day is a gift. Everything else is a response to that kindness and that grace. Right? And probably what you're wondering right now is, well, how do we respond? How do we respond to this wonderful grace? And I have an answer. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not If everything I get to gift, how am I responding with pride? Right? How am I responding with impatience? How am I mad that I didn't get my own way when nothing is my way? It's all a gift. It's not irritable and it keeps no record of being wrong. It doesn't rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful. Love never fails. Right? That's the response. And these three things can change our lives more than anything else. Change our lives more than anything else. Grace, the bigger story, opening up to a bigger story, and gratitude. Faith, following Jesus, is not just to go somewhere, someone else. It is also about our lives here, now, today, in faith, being and becoming new creations. And here are some examples. And now I'm going to start to fly because I see what happens. But I told you this because next week I can't talk at all. You already knew this. Okay. In a marriage, we are thankful for them and who they are, not for who we want them to be, and not resentment over who they are not. Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. They are a gift, valued beyond measure by God and worthy of love, as are you. Right? So we do the things. Agape means we do the things. We do the actions no matter what. We choose to love them how they deserve. And I know that when I say deserve, that sounds crazy because I've just said that we don't deserve anything, right? But what I mean is how our identity as royalty, as children of the living God, how they're standing as loved by Him deserves. Right? How can we not have grace for those people who God has given us to love? You think about that. Like, this is my daughter. Angel is my daughter, who I died for, who I love more than anything else. You get to love her for me. Right? That's what a marriage is, man. And consequently, this is Chad, who I love, my son, who I love more than anything. Angel, I'm giving him to you to love for me. That's a marriage, man. How does that sing? How does that sing? Does everybody see marriage like that? I would guess that the divorce rate wouldn't be more than 1 in 2 if we all saw marriage like that. Anyway, next one is self. He made you. He gave you life. He gave you breath. He gave you new blessings every day. You are made in His image. You are loved. He deemed you worthy of His own life. He made you His temple. He said, you will be my hands and feet to take those presents to people in some of the darkest parts in the world. That's how much I love and trust and give you this opportunity to be me to them. Right? So everything we do is in light of that reality. There is an honor and a dignity to being His. Right? And that means there are things beneath us. Right? You understand what I mean? To be His temple means there's a lot of things that sully a temple. How should the temple be treated? Right? So we behave with peace, kindness. We become walking, talking, 1 Corinthians 13 loving hands and feet. That's what it means to be loved and made by Jesus Christ. Last one, the job. Maybe you don't like your job. Maybe you do. You are there for a reason, and I know this because everything has a reason, has a purpose. Everything you do matters, and that you do your job with integrity and excellence because He takes our offerings and turns them into form that He would bless the whole world through. Right? We show up, we give what we have, and He takes that, and He takes it, and He blesses everybody everywhere through that. That's how it's supposed to work. Right? We're His children. All this makes sense? All this makes sense? All of this beauty and meaning is missing when the story's just me. It's all missing. It's just me and what I can get now. It's just what I can see and get under the sun. But, I'm done. I'm almost done. When we choose to live under the sun with an O, every single, smallest, seemingly insignificant step, touch, move, kiss, thought, word is transformed. Everything is transformed, giving it all tremendous weight in remaking this place. In remaking this place, in being the integral, active participants in bringing the kingdom to the here and now, which I may remind you is what we were always supposed to be. Always. That's our call. Kingdom bringers. That's what at my old church, the pastor used to say all the time. We are kingdom bringers. That's what we were always supposed to be. We were supposed to participate in remaking this world in His image. Your kingdom come. That's part of the Lord's Prayer. Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And how we do that is we step in. We live under the sun with an O. And finally put this under the sun with a U to bed forever. Forever. Stop banging our heads into the wall, wondering when things are going to be different because they never were and they never will be.
Sam, this is where some of them.
I'm at the end of myself and I'm tired. I've tried all that I know to do. Right now it's just by a thread, but I'm hanging on to you. I'm running out of hope. I need a miracle. And if I ever needed you, it's right now. Oh God, I'm desperate, down on my knees, send help from heaven, 'cause that's what I need. Redeem this wreckage, restore my peace. I'm not asking, I'm begging, Lord, come through for me. I need heaven and I desperate. desperate. Oh, I need heaven and I need all the prayers I can pray, but I won't stop knocking till you open the door. You can move a mountain, you can calm a storm. I know you can, 'cause I've seen it before. Oh God, I'm desperate, down on my knees. Send help from heaven, 'cause that's what I need. Redeem this wreckage, restore my peace. I'm not asking, I'm begging. Lord, come through for me. I need heaven and I. Desperate, desperate. Oh, I need heaven and I. Desperate, desperate. Oh, I need heaven and I. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're my only hope. I need a miracle. And if I ever needed you, it's right now. Oh God, I'm desperate, down on my knees. Send help from heaven, 'cause that's what I need. Redeem this wreckage, restore my peace. I'm not asking, I'm begging. Lord, come through for me. I need heaven and I. Desperate, oh, I'm desperate. Oh, I need heaven and I. Desperate, oh, desperate. Oh, I need heaven and I.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.